maybe not after these first 3 games, but coming into the season, a lot of people thought the Browns were a Super Bowl contender. Now, a lot of that is dependent on number 4. And we didn't know what we were getting into with this offensive line and the Nick Chubb injury and Amari Cooper not playing great the first 2 weeks. So, and the defense not being as elite as it was last year. So we are kind of at the, the behest of what this team does on the field. And just like any other sports franchise, it's about the Jimmies and Joes, not the X's and O's so much. And, it is what it is at this point. It's like the Browns have a very talented roster, but it's just not clicking. It's not vibing. And I don't know. There's a lot of blame to go around. Now, let me ask you this. Let me give you 4 options. Who is most to blame for the Browns being 1-2 for these first 3 weeks? Is it the coaching? Is it the offensive line? Is it the quarterback? Or is it the defense?
I'm going with offensive line.
Okay. That surprises me. I thought you would have said number 4. I thought you would have said the quarterback.
I'm mad at him.
Yeah.
I really am, because when you
I saw some of your Facebook posts.
When we put so much money into one person, they have the obligation to carry sort of like the vulnerabilities at every other place.
Okay.
When you just look at the math behind it, it's off. You give the guy time, he can do some things because that's his skill set. If we didn't overinvest in him and he was just a $50 million quarterback or something like that, then I would really give him a little bit more benefit of the doubt. But he doesn't get that from me because he just costs us so much.
Well, and that's where no one outside of the people in Deshaun Watson's direct camp will give him a benefit of the doubt from now till the rest of his career because of what has happened off the field. He has 0 slack, and that is his own doing. Whether he is 100% guilty, there's no way he's 100% innocent in all this. I'm sure there's some cases that maybe are money grabs or whatever. I'm not here to say what's what, but there is no way he is innocent in all this.
We're tolerating a lot on his behalf, and we laid down a little bit and let this kind of come out.
Yeah.
And all he had to do was come through on his skill set. That's all his obligation was.
And we're talking when we talk capital in football, we're not just talking $230 million. No. First of all, that money doesn't come from you. That money doesn't come from me. Maybe indirectly we're paying it, through tickets or merchandise or whatever. I get that. But that $230 million does not come from the fan base. No. I mean, kind of it does, but not really. That money's coming from the Haslams, from the whatever minority owner groups, all that stuff. But where we're hurting as well, where people sometimes forget, is we'll give up 3 first-round draft picks, which those could be 3 starters on your roster right now.
Offensive line starters,
possibly.
For sure.
Yeah. And honestly, if you ask me right now, let's just keep Deshaun Watson on this team, but you gave me 1 really good starter as an offensive lineman, 1 really good starter at wide receiver, and 1 really good starter. You pick the position. I don't care what it is. This football team is a hell of a lot better.
Absolutely.
Now, some people, I heard the whole Baker stuff on Sunday. I heard the Jameis Winston stuff of we want Winston, whatever it might be. I get that. And this fan base, Myles Garrett said it best after week 1. They're paying their money to come in and watch us. If they want to boo and we're not performing up to our standard, they should be able to boo. No one can tell you what to do as a fan. Now, if you're swearing and being belligerent, that's one thing. But if you are just booing or rooting on your team, whatever it might be, that's your right as a fan. And, social media, you're going to hear a lot of loud voices out there, some good, some bad, some in the middle. But it's a mess right now with the Browns.
And especially the people who are responsible for protecting the quarterback and buying him time to find his receivers so they can run their routes, right?
Yeah.
Are all freaking hurt.
Yeah.
Your tight ends,
your
running backs that stay back there and buy you some time, and your offensive line. So many injuries of people that could have been stacked and have depth on that roster, and we don't. And that's where there was 100% of my blame goes on the draft capital that we missed out on because of Deshaun Watson.
So At one point in the game, because you brought up the offensive line, and that's obviously, to me, that is the biggest issue of this season. So I don't think the media, made as big of a deal as Bill Callahan leaving to go to Tennessee with his son, who's the head coach there, as it was. So this guy was the best offensive line coach in football, bar none. Pros, college, whatever. He's the best offensive line coach, bar none, in football. Leaves, goes to Tennessee. Now you bring in, I believe his name's Andy Dickerson, to replace him. And it's like one of those things, you don't want to replace like a legend. You kind of want to be the guy that replaces the guy that replaces the legend. But it's like, you have good pieces there on the offensive line. There are good pieces. So coming into this year, here's what we thought the starting group would be. We thought it would be your left tackle, Wills. You thought it would be left guard, Bitonio. You thought it would be Posick at center, right guard, Teller, and then right tackle, either DeJuan Jones or Jack Conklin, whoever won the job and started. That's not what you got at the beginning of the year with Wills and Conklin especially. So at one point of the game, and keep in mind, this is week 3. At one point in the game on Sunday versus the Giants, who do have a good defensive line, I will give them credit on that. But your left tackle was out. Your left guard moved to left tackle. Your center moved to left guard. Your backup center comes in. Your right tackle was injured. Your rookie right guard comes in, and your right tackle was benched. And then his backup got hurt, and you had to put him back in the game. So your unit that was on the field was Bitonio at left tackle, who's normally your left guard, Posick at left guard, who's normally your center, Harris, who's your backup center, came in, Zinter, who's your starting probably your starting right guard this week, who was your third or fourth rounder out of Michigan this year, who, by the way, had a broken leg against Ohio State in the game last year. And then your right tackle, who knows if it's DeJuan Jones or James Hudson right now, because DeJuan Jones, who looked amazing at times, looked like one of the best offensive linemen in football, also looked old, fat, slow, whatever you want to call it, out of shape, injured, all that stuff. These past 2 of the past 3 weeks. So I don't know what it is. I really don't know. I don't know if it's coaching. I don't know if it's effort. I don't know if it's injury. But whatever's going on, it's not good enough. And Deshaun Watson deserves some blame, 100%. But he does not deserve all the blame. There's some throws he missed. But look at that last play of offense for the Browns. 4th and 5, I think. Mari Cooper's out of the game. You bring in Cedric Tillman. He throws an absolute rope, hits him right in the chest, right in the hands, drops it. And it's like,
what can you expect?
I mean, there's blame to go around everywhere, is the point I'm trying to make. Stefanski, I love him as a coach, but none of these guys played in the preseason. I think I like Ken Dorsey, but he has not proven to be very good so far as an offensive coordinator. And then, by the way, Alex Van Pelt was kind of scapegoated last year. He gets fired as your former offensive coordinator, and apparently guys loved him. So maybe that sends mixed messages in the locker room.
Now,
I don't know.
You're feeling on the offensive play calling. If you know you got vulnerabilities, you got guys playing out of position pretty much everywhere on your offensive line.
Yeah.
And you just get determined to throw these complicated, long to kind of come together routes rather than short stuff, runs, whatever. It's like the offensive game plan didn't change when we saw that it was not working. And that frustrates the shit out of our.
What did you tell me? And see if you remember. What did you tell me the Browns need to do on offense?
Run
the ball.
The freaking ball.
The Browns have always been like top 5, especially when Nick Chubb's healthy. Browns have been like top 5 overall in the NFL in rushing the ball when he's healthy. Even last year when he was hurt, the Browns were still in the top of the league in rushing. This year, the Browns, I think, I have the stat somewhere, but they're in the bottom 5 of the NFL in rushing. I think they're averaging like 95 yards a game, which at their peak, they were averaging about 100 yards more per game on the ground. So if you don't control the rush game, the run game, you're not controlling the clock. The Browns are turning it over. It's just not. It doesn't look smooth. It looks clunky. It looks gross, frankly.
Yeah, and I think you have enough talent on with your running backs.
Yeah.
That even if the offensive line can open up holes for them, they are talented enough to find yardage if you just get them the freaking ball.
Yeah.
I could see if they were getting stuffed every time and it was negative yardage, whatever, but these guys are running for 4 and 5 yards, guaranteed per run. Why not keep doubling down on that?
So here's the stat. They are 25th currently in the league with 95 yards a game, roughly.
That's
so
sad.
It's just not good enough. And it's like and again, we go back to, well, maybe they're not running because they're getting those pre-snap penalties. They're getting the holding calls, and you're not going to run it on 1st and 20. You're not going to run it on 2nd and 20. So it's like, that takes a whole aspect of what the Browns do best. And what does Kevin Stefanski do best? He runs the ball and he sets up the pass by play action fakes. So it's
so if
very frustrating.
You're the coach now. I'm throwing you in there for this game.
Yeah.
And let's just say there's no respect from the defense at all. They're going to basically send everybody and pressure the quarterback every sinking time.
I would.
So you're the offensive coordinator. You're like, all right, well, we can't fall victim to that for the rest of the freaking game. What's your play?
You got to have quick, I'm talking, if you're in the shotgun, 1-step drop, boom, balls out. Or you set up the screen game where you let people come to you, but it's got to be there. It's got to be clean. It's got to be well blocked, which we know has been a big issue.
Because that will make those rushers back off.
Yeah.
When they get burnt sometimes in the middle of the field, right? They're going to have to drop those guys into protection rather than rushing.
Because frankly, they don't respect. They don't respect the pass game.
Not at all.
And they don't respect the offensive linemen.
You watch that tape, and I could plan just watching the tape of what happened last week, exactly what the Raiders are going to do.
Yeah. And the Raiders, is poorly as they've played this year, they're 1-2. They lost to the Carolina Panthers last week. Let's not forget. So they're going to be a pissed off team coming into this week, losing to probably the worst team in football. So the Browns are going to be a pissed off football team. They lost to probably one of the top 4 or 5 worst teams in football. The Raiders lost to the worst team in football last week. The Raiders also beat the Baltimore Ravens 2 weeks ago. So this is a team that has the ability. The Browns also, we know, have the ability. The Browns are the better team. But will they get the win on the field? I hope so, but I don't know. And that's very reflective in the lines, because the lines came out. One site has them as a 1.5 point favorite. Another site has them as a 1.5 point underdog. So it's basically a pick 'em in this game. Don't even bet the spread. Just pick who you think's going to win. And I don't know.
I honestly think this is a good rebound game, honestly. If you want to pick who your opponent is to really get your shit back together, this is a game I would pick.
And I like that. And another thing, this is weird. The Browns were 8-1 at home last year. I actually think the Browns could be a better road team this year, because last year that defense was so good at home. It has struggled this year. And Jim Schwartz and that defense, they had the best choreographed dance routine after a turnover that wasn't last week. The best. I mean, you had JOK conducting all other 10 guys on the field after was a great interception by Ronnie Hickman. But, Greg Newsome, whether is a lame personal foul, but it got called roughing the passer. That changed the game. The Browns were up 7-0, got the opening fumble, first pass, touchdown to Amari Cooper. Everything is like, this could not be going any better. And from there, the rest of that first half, they got their asses kicked.
Yep.
And then they picked the ball off there. And then, that flag was the flip of the game. The Giants went down, scored a touchdown. They went up 21-7 at halftime. And the Browns looked like absolute dog shit. So hopefully that was a wake-up call. And not to mention now Myles Garrett is like all banged up too. So he's going to play, but it's, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of frustration that came out of that last game.
Now, what do you think the fan base does? Let's just say they get their shit figured out this week and they show what they really are. Do you think the fan base turns around and supports Deshaun Watson, or do you think the ship has sailed?
No. No. Deshaun Watson, the only way the fan base will support Deshaun Watson, and maybe still not even then, is if he truly is like what takes that offense to another level, gets them to the playoffs, dare I say, wins a playoff game and even makes it further than that. The only way this fan base will support Deshaun Watson until he shows he's a proven winner that can not make excuses, not get after it. And football is like the number one team sport. If all 11 pieces aren't doing their job, it's going to show its weaknesses. There's going to be chinks in the armor. There's going to be, whatever it might be, whatever analogy you want to say. Football just does not go well if all 11 guys aren't doing their job. So Deshaun Watson, to answer your question, I don't know if he'll ever be supported by the Cleveland fan base because, one, he's not from here. Two, initial reports said he didn't want to come to Cleveland. He wanted to go to Atlanta or Carolina or one of the other cities.
And we had to bribe him.
And we had to basically say, hey, we're going to give you all this money guaranteed for you to come to Cleveland. Oh,
I love Cleveland.
Yeah. And it's not like Cleveland's a great place. But if you have your choice of playing, the crappiest months of the year in a warmer weather climate, you're probably going to do that. And as a quarterback, you probably want to play in a warmer weather climate or a dome because your stats are just going to look better because, it's hard to throw the ball in Cleveland in December or November. We've even seen it in September. So, it is what it is. So
I think what another thing that really works against him is that we had Flacco to compare him against last year.
I'm going to bring this up.
Okay.
I'm going to bring this up. What race is Joe Flacco?
I don't know.
What race?
Who knows? I don't see race.
Would you, if you were checking a box and you were Joe Flacco, would you put African American? Would you put Caucasian? Would you put other nationality?
I'd put other.
Okay.
Other.
Okay. So for those that don't know, Joe Flacco is a Caucasian male.
He's a white dude.
He's a white guy.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson is an African American.
A black dude.
So is Jameis Winston.
Yes.
People love Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
But Jameis Winston has had some checkered stuff in his past. Deshaun Watson currently has that going on, and he is not going to be beloved when you have 20 plus lawsuits, when you are just not, I don't know what the word is, but he is just not like the media darling, and he will never be that because of the off the field. I mean, it's a scar. This isn't a scratch that you cover up with a Band-Aid and it's healed. He is scarred for life from this. And so is the Cleveland fan base, as long as he is the quarterback. So that is the analogy I would make, is Cleveland is dealing with someone they don't want to root for. Joe Flacco was sort of that hero that came in, wore his cape. By the way, Superman was created in Cleveland. You know that? You know who else was created in Cleveland?
What?
Freddy Krueger, because that's where Wes Craven's from. And he said he looked out the window once, and that's where there was this creepy ass guy looking at him through the window, and that's where his vision for Freddy Krueger came from. So I am comparing Superman and Freddy Krueger all in once.
So you're saying you combine those two people and you get Deshaun Watson?
No, so I'm saying Superman last year is Joe Flacco made a ton of mistakes, and he played an easy schedule. But the offense looked so good, and it looked competent, and the play action game was great. And it just seemed like everybody was clicking. David Njoku had never played better. Amari Cooper was playing at the top of his game. The run game was okay. It was looking good. The offensive line looked competent. And then you bring in who a lot of fans would say is Freddy Krueger, and they hate him. They don't want to root for him. And I get that. I totally get that. But if you're a Browns fan, you have to hope he plays well. But you bring in Deshaun Watson, a.k.a. Freddy Krueger, and, I want him to do well while he's a quarterback of the Browns. Do I like what he's done off the field? No. Can I prove it? No. But, again, as a Browns fan, you have to root for his success if you want the team you're rooting for to do well. But he's come in. There's been offensive line woes. There's been receiver drops. They don't look in sync. New offense that they catered to his ability because he's an out of the pocket guy. He can make stuff happen. And it just has looked bad from the get go. So the NFL is a week to week league. So we will see.
But you still, you have DTR on your staff.
Mm-hmm.
He's not taking rub out massages. He's not, abusing women or having a lot of
he is not
off the field antics.
Not that we know of. Allegedly.
Right? Allegedly
he's not doing that.
And all I see him being referred to is some kind of trade capital that not really seriously giving him a chance to be a replacement.
I think that was more so in preseason when, the Vikings quarterback got hurt, when it was McCarthy. It was like, but Sam Darnold looks like this superhero right now in Minnesota, and Tua, we don't know what's going on with him, and they look terrible. So it's like, do you trade Jameis? Do you trade DTR? It's like, I don't know, probably not, because we saw what happened last year. If Deshaun Watson got hurt, you're playing Walker, who somehow won you some amazing games, but that was on the back of that defense and like luck, literally. That Indianapolis game last year, that San Francisco game last year, there was a couple other games that they won that they shouldn't have, but they won. And I go back to what we were talking about. Deshaun Watson is not going to get that benefit of the doubt, even if it's not his fault. But he has looked like one of the worst quarterbacks in football. And I put it out there. I am someone that tried to separate the off the field stuff from the on the field stuff. And, if you're playing quarterback, whether it's Brady Quinn or Johnny Manziel or Charlie Fry, or you go down the list of names, I'm going to root for you because you're playing for the team I love. And Deshaun Watson, I was at least hoping, at the very least, would be a competent quarterback to just get this Browns team to move the ball up and down the field, separate the off-field stuff, and just get the job done at a basic top 15 quarterback level. And he's not doing it. And that's some his fault. That's some coaching fault. That's some offensive line fault. That's some wide receiver dropping the ball fault. There's a lot of blame to go around. I really don't know what the answer is.
The reality is that with him at the helm, it's just not working.
No.
And the minute that we can cut bait on this guy, I don't care if we have to serve out the rest of his contract or find an out somehow, that if we're going to lose, I'd rather lose with someone other than him or Winston. I'm not a fan of Winston either. So that means if you're looking down the horizon and you got to spend another year and a half, 2 years, dating this guy, start setting up your other guy. Give him some advantage, give him some play time. So like if they brought Winston in
by the way, I don't think DTR is the guy to go.
I don't
forward.
either. I really don't.
Yeah.
But if anybody,
I think he could be the best backup quarterback in the league. I will put that on record, but I don't think DTR is more of maybe an above average backup quarterback that can come in and win you maybe 2-3 games. But I don't want to put it out there that I think he's like this next generation of Browns quarterback. I don't think that's the case. I think he's a very capable quarterback, though. So he beat the Steelers last year,
and he did fall apart in the rest of the time.
Well, that Ravens game,
that was bad.
But he also got thrown in there the morning of. He didn't know he was starting, so I take that one off the table.
But anyway, long and short is that we do, if we know we're going to have to be penalized with seeing Deshaun Watson, we got to admit the fact that was just a poor choice. We got to see out the rest of the contract and start lining up whoever's that going to be and give enough time, so we're not like in 2 years plopping somebody with another stupid contract and take another gamble with a quarterback. We've got time now.
It truly looks like the worst trade in NFL history right now.
I agree.
And whether it's the Haslams or whoever's pulling the strings behind the scene to say, this is, if you want the Browns to do well, number 4 has to play well. And if he doesn't,
do you think there's too much ego in that office to admit the fact and say, hey, we screwed up?
I really don't know. Because, Stefanski as the head coach should have the final say of who's playing and who's not. But I don't think the Browns, first of all, after 3 weeks, I don't think that's the decision you can make. But
am I being impulsive by wanting to pull the plug on this dude? Am I jumping
You and about probably 75% of the fan base are
Okay.
are in agreement with that.
And for most times, I do give that benefit of the doubt. Like, let this play out. Give this guy some time. Shore up your offensive line.
So Deshaun Watson was sacked, I think, 8 times last week. And he's been hit 42 times and I think sacked 16.
It's gonna get him killed.
If you put, and some people might want to see that, if you put Jameis Winston back there, would it be any better? If you put Dorian Thompson-Robinson back there, would it be any better? I don't think so.
I just don't understand if you get hit that many times, where you stick to the original offensive playbook where you pretend like you're going to have protection.
Yeah.
Like, it would change immediately.
Right. And some of those are on him. Some of them he holds the ball too long. Some of them, he's out of the pocket and, whatever. I get that. But there were about 5 or 6 of those sacks. He had no chance.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's, like I said, I want to put I think the majority of the blame is on the offensive line for not protecting your quarterback.
Yeah.
But also not being elusive, not changing the game plan, and pretending like you have a skill set that you obviously do not.
I'm 100% in agreement on that. You want to know where I think the Browns are going to win this game this weekend? On the defensive side of the ball. I think this will be a low-scoring game, which, by the way, I will be in attendance for, because I would love to see a high-scoring game that the Browns win, but I'll take a win regard of however it's done. But the Raiders offense is not good. Not good, plain and simple. This Browns defense has to come out with its freaking hair on fire. I know that's a lame analogy, but they need to come out there, light a fire under their ass, and get after.
That's one thing
Gardner
I noticed.
Minshew, your boy.
I noticed that the secondary of the Browns has so much chemistry now, and how they're working together, how they're interacting with each other, how they're firing each other up. I wish the offense had half of the energy that the defense has.
And I do. Like, this Browns defense is not the best in the league. It's not. It's very good. And they probably have the best player in the league in Myles Garrett, at least on the defensive side of the ball. TJ Watt or Micah Parsons or a few other players might have some say on that, but we can all agree, a top 3 to 4 player in the NFL on defense.
Yeah.
Last year was number 1. But as a whole, this team has to be better as a group. They have to play in sync, and I think this defense is going to win the game for the Browns on Sunday. So, whatever you might think, it is what it is. So I'm going to predict the Browns to win a lower scoring game, but I think the defense really takes advantage of that Raiders offense and puts, sort of like that Jacksonville game, puts the Browns in more like better opportunities to score. And I think you're going to see a pretty good version of the Browns offense. Amari Cooper, we can say, looked real good last week.
He did.
And that was the one thing that maybe you can take out of that game. And, you win this game, and then you can't look ahead too much. I was looking ahead and be like, well, they lost that first game to the Cowboys, but maybe they can be 4-1 after that 5th week. Well, now I'm saying, let's just get to 2-2 and then worry about next week. So that's the Browns' job this week.
There are still enough games for them to get their shit together and pull a season out that's not an embarrassment. Absolutely.
They have a really tough schedule, but these next 2 weeks, very winnable games. Very winnable games.
Now, has anybody come back from injury? I didn't look into any transactions. Are we expecting anybody back this week or next?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I mean, shit. You think Jack Conklin's playing, and then Saturday night he pulls a hamstring, which wasn't even bothering him before. It's like, well, shit. I don't know.